Good morning, everybody. So, let me start off with, my morning, I didn't know how to be here for the first service, and I get a call at 7:40. Hey, you're supposed to be here at 8 o'clock, and I'm like, I'll be there. So I'm getting ready, and I get dressed. I'm ex-military, so man, I made it on time. I'll tell you that, 3 minutes to spare. But I was driving down the road, and all of a sudden, the devil just starts whispering, "You don't even know what you're going to say. You're not qualified to do this, to speak in front of all these people." And I started thinking about it, and I just kind of smiled, and I said, "Miss Joey, I build my house out of bricks." And I went on, so I started just asking God for some leadership on which way to go. I mean, what do I do, Lord? And then the funny thing is you can't have hope unless you have surrender. Yeah. And so the Lord says surrender. He said, and so he gave me this verse right here. And the perfect example that we can have a surrender is Jesus Christ. Yeah. When Jesus is walking through the garden, he knows what he's about to go through. He's about to get those thorns put on his head. He's about to get those lashings. He's about to carry that cross. And in Mark 14 it says, and going a little farther, Jesus fell on the ground, on the foundation. And he said, if it were possible, this hour might pass from him. And he said, Abba, Father, all things are possible for you. Remove this cup from me, yet not what I will, but you will. Surrender. So I got a few testimonies here of some guys that are surrendering. The first guy I want to bring up here is JD.
Hey, Mike. Good morning, everybody. My name's JD. I'm a grateful believer. I'm going to fast forward a little bit in my life because my past is exactly where it needs to be. Back there. I went through the Hope Center Ministries in Springfield, and all I did the whole time was check boxes. Get through Bible studies. Okay, I got 27 left. Cool. Thought I could get home and just do it on my own. I was sober. Yeah, I could do it. Boy, was I wrong. As soon as I went home, same old me. Same old thing. And the Lord opened up my eyes while I was out there seeing all them old people and doing the same old things, sleeping in my car. He said, no, I don't want to do this no more. So I come back to the Rickman house. And my eyes, ever since I got there, the spirit in the house, the spirit that Josh, Mike has, it took me out of my comfort zone. And I was able to open up and just let it go. And ever since then, it's like the gates have just opened. I can't get enough. It's every day I wake up, it's something new good, something beautiful. I used to be in a bad mood every day, used to hate my life, and now I cannot get enough of it. The spirit in this church is amazing. As the spirit, like I said, with the guys at our house is amazing. And I love it. I cannot get enough of it. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thank you, JD. The Bible tells us, come ye who are burdened and tired, and I'll give you rest. JD was tired. He was sick and tired. He thought he had it. He came back out there, but he realized I can't do this. So he surrendered. The next person I have is Austin. There you go. Yeah.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. It's a miracle and a blessing to be standing up here in the first place. My name's Austin. I'm a faithful believer in Jesus Christ. And I want to give thanks to God first, because there's a verse that says, those who honor me before others, I will acknowledge before my Father in heaven. It wasn't me that was able to get through everything that I've been through. It was God slowly showing me that he was the one that was doing it. I was raised by a very supportive family that I'm very thankful to have. My dad wasn't around, but luckily I've been able to get closer to him and make amends with him. And the indirect amends have been hard, and there's still some I do need to make. But I'm thankful to have my mom here, my beautiful fiance, and my 4-month-old baby boy. Yeah. He's a Hope Center baby. She had him while I was in Hope Center, and God's just been good every single day of the way. I lived a life of hopelessness for a long time, of misery, of guilt, shame, fear, and I told myself, and my biggest enemy was myself. I told myself that I wasn't going to be capable of having a good life because I've made so many mistakes already. God made himself known in my life and his presence known in many different situations. And for some reason, the Spirit's put it on me to speak of a moment where I was in Cookeville when I first moved here. I had just got out of an Oxford house, and I just got off a shift at work, and I was starting to fade into my old ways and actions. And I was in a dark moment, in a dark place. And when I think of testimonies, I think of old hymns. They bring a lot of joy to my heart. And I was walking home from work through the middle of Cookeville one day, and I was broke down. I was crying. I was praying. And the moment I opened my eyes from prayer, the church song Farther Along started playing on the church bells through Cookeville. And I broke down again. It says, cheer up, my brothers, live in the sunshine. It's not just the shine from the sun, but the light that the sun shines on our lives. I'm living proof of what God can do. He continues to carry me through my trials, my tribulations. I come to him in every circumstance. I dedicate my time, my heart. He's purified my heart. He has lifted me up above the shadows. And I just can't thank Hope Center enough. I'm thankful for Jed and Cobble being able to equip me with the tools necessary that I need to live a life and live a life with God in it. God's done a lot, and he continues to do a lot for me. Jed and Cobble gave me the routine, the schedule that I needed, that I wasn't able to provide for myself, as Cobble was mentioning earlier. And luckily I was able to give a test run earlier of my testimony, but ever since then I've been on fire. God's been filling my mind with things to say about him, but in reality there is no amount of words that can describe how good God is. It's a joy, a peace, a happiness beyond my understanding, and I just have to remain confident that he's going to keep his promises. I live by this verse. My counselor made it a point to me that this verse was basically one of the most important in the Bible, and it's Proverbs 3, 5, and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart. Lean not on your own understanding, and submit to him in all your ways, and he'll make your path straight. I've come to know what Jesus' love is. I've witnessed it through others at the Hope Center. I'm thankful for every single brother that I've made at the Hope Center. It's a whole new family. I'm thankful for everybody here at this church. It's a family of its own. I'm thankful for my brothers and sisters in Christ and all of those that I'm able to reach by telling people about how good God is. I just pray that they can continue to make the right decision and trust in him and obey him, and God's going to pave the way. That's all I got.
I have the pleasure of getting to know Austin really well. He's on our leadership team at the house. Can we give it up for the leadership team at the house? See, Austin had all the tools and all the weapons that he needed, but he didn't have obedience. take down them walls. But now that he's surrendered, wall after wall is crumbling. And Austin he's going places. I'm telling you, that man's amazing. My next guy I've got to spend a lot of time with.
Hello. Can't do it. I'll fidget the whole time. It'll be bad. I do not have matching socks today. Thanks for pointing it out. I tried really hard. They're the same color. You think I get dressed in the dark. It's all good. I'm going to sit down so I don't fidget. I'm going to try not to move too much because then the microphone's going over here and I just can't do it. My name's Scotty. I've been at the Hope Center for a little while. I think I'm on month 20, and I'm the happiest I could ever be. I'm not going to tell you my whole story because it's a lot of chaos, a lot of crazy. I'll start where things should have changed. I spent some time in a prison in Florida. I was okay with it. My life wasn't necessarily falling apart. It may have looked like that from the outside, but the life I was living, I was okay with being in prison and fighting and drugs and doing all the crazy stuff. It was okay. A couple years in, I had an encounter, and I met Jesus face to face in one of my cells. And I should have done a complete about face and changed my life from that moment. I did not. I knew all of a sudden, hey, he's real, and I'm in trouble. I'm not doing right. But I couldn't change. I didn't want to let go of the things I was doing. I knew that if I followed him, certain things in my life would go away. I was very much in love with those things. Fast motorcycles, my woman, all of it. They let me out of prison about a year after that, 6 months, somewhere in there. And I ran from him. It was like, you ever heard of helicopter parenting? When your parents are hovering over you and you're like, stop looking at me. It was kind of the same way with the Lord. He was on me. He was on me hard. And I wanted to just, I've got a lot going. You're not going to take these things from me. I love them. And I ran. I continued to run. And I thought I could shut him out by running fast enough or getting high enough and just turning the other cheek and trying to get away from him. And I couldn't shut him out. He was on me like a helicopter. I had a moment where it was so overwhelming, I said, fine. I give up. It's on you. It was just an outward thing. I didn't actually change anything on the inside. I just said, fine, you're in control, and I made it look good. Leave me alone. Well, in comes the Hope Center. I find myself in the Hope Center, and I did the same thing my entire first year, minus 29 days. To the outside world, I did my program. I volunteered. I cleaned. I did all the things. I checked off boxes, and I didn't have no points, no crazy at all. It was going just fine. But my inside voice was not changed. It was the same old Scotty that was living on the streets and doing crazy stuff inside me. So outward appearance might have changed a little bit, but the inside never changed. I went through I told God, you took my freedom again. Here I am, the Hope Center. You're not going to take my woman. I love her. You're not going to take her. Well, I was wrong. I received a letter, and she's not mine anymore. I was hurt. I was sad, and I let that eat at me. I let my inside voice dictate what was happening in my life. It caused me to make a poor decision, and I freaked out on Jed and Cobble. They knew right away. Like literally, I opened the bathroom door and Jed was right there. I was like, oh, I'm busted right away. I made a poor choice, And when, in all seriousness, Jed should have sent me to prison. He had every right to, but he showed me a little bit of grace. And that little bit of, it's humanity for me, that little bit of care, that little bit of love that says, I'm not going to give up on you. I probably did it on purpose because I'm a self-sabotager. It's what I do. I go, oh, things are looking up. Forget that. I'd rather live in a shed in my mama's backyard. Jed showed me a little bit of humanity, a little bit of love when I really didn't deserve it. And something broke inside me. I got away from everybody after, of course, yelling and screaming in the office, freaking out. Jed was like, you gonna go out that door? And I want to go out the door. I was mad. I was still smoking cigarettes back then. I wanted to smoke a cigarette bad. Thankfully, I don't smoke anymore. I had a moment. I went downstairs alone, and I told God, okay, I can't do this anymore. I can't continue being who I am inside while trying to show everybody that I want to change and faking it on the outside. I couldn't keep doing it. So I broke down. For some reason, when I really talk to God, I feel like I need to be on my stomach, because that's what happened in prison. I seen him and I couldn't stay on my feet. I ended up laying in front of him crying, Your Majesty, yes, yes. And that's that. When I broke down, I found myself on the floor crying, and everything changed. But I didn't know what to do with that surrender. Okay, I'm surrendered. You have it all. What do I do now? And I'm still kind of like floating in the wind, I'm still a little bit upset about, man, I'm about to be at the Hope Center forever. Here we go, It was a bit of a shock. Then in comes the Faith Forward conference, the Faith Forward conference. I came in the door, all the lights are off, TV's going off, and you hear Pastor Mark in the darkness. This is your moment. This is your shift. This is it. And I'm like, he's talking to me. I'm in trouble. Here we go. I didn't want to move. I stayed in my seat. I was like, I don't know. Well, somebody come up here. We came up here to pray for somebody. There was probably 100 people all kneeled out praying for this person. And I said, you know what? Moral support. Here I go, And right there, right in the floor, right there, I squatted down. I put my hand on this guy's back, and I'm just there. And I was absolutely overcome. But what I now know is the Holy Spirit. I wasn't even in the same room. I wasn't here. By the time I came out of it, I'm on my knees crying. And everybody else, this sea of people, has gone back to their seats. I'm like, whoa, what was that? It scared me. But it was an overwhelming happy scare. Like, whoa, something just really happened. Something just really changed. My inside voice was no longer the same. So forever I juggled hate, jealousy, rage, drugs, poor choices. I juggled every bit of it, and it was hard. Today, I juggle joy, peace, forgiveness, love, all these things that just make me happy. The things I thought in my life were so important don't have even a shadow of anything. For the longest time, because I couldn't surrender, I was a stick in the mud. And I could see everybody else's fields, I'm in a great church. I'm in a great house. I could see everybody else got green stuff. Why am I a stick in the mud? I couldn't surrender. I surrendered and everything changed. It was absolutely incredible. And now I wake up and talk to God before I do anything. Because listen, I don't make good decisions. Even when they're on the inside, I make horrible decisions. Miss Ashley's laughing. She knows. That's my unofficial counselor. I've got quite a few of them in here. I'm good. I can run it. And I just see, now I'm not in a mud field anymore. You know, I've got a lot of green around, a lot of good. I have a garden around me that I'm cultivating and adding to every single day. There's no reason to turn around and look at anything in my past. You know, and I realized all the things I was like, God, you're not going to take away from me. I shouldn't have had in the first place. I shouldn't have had none of it. It was all bad. It was all poison. It went so much further than just drugs. It was everything else. And this life has completely, man, it's crazy. I want to yell at these guys. Get what I got. I want to yell at everybody. Get what I got, because it's absolutely amazing. You know, surrendering is hard. It was for me. You know, I'm going to give you the reins. Are you kidding me? You know, but when it happened, everything changed. I'm happy to do the things I'm doing. I'm 20 months in, and I'm so happy. It's ridiculous. I keep telling Jed I'm a permanent resident. I don't want to go nowhere. I had to, a hard lesson I had to, it's going to sound harsh. Hard lesson I had to learn, or hard reality I had to come to, was you're either all the way in and you walk the path, or you burn. There's not an in-between. There's no halfway doing it. When you halfway do it, you're wasting your time, and you're wasting everybody else's time. He doesn't want half of me. He wants absolutely every bit of me. Now I tell him, hey man, you got a plan. I'm not good with not knowing, you know. What's the plan? What's the plan, you know? Like, I need to know something. And he gives me this vague, you're going to give it away. I'm like, what does that even mean? I don't have any money. I don't have anything. These are donated shoes from Mike James. I have no money. How am I giving anything away? And I realized it's him. That's what I'm going to give away. I'm going to spend the rest of my life telling people about this man that beat death and saved my life. We had an amazing meeting last night in Smithville, and part of what Brett Knight said, which I put you out there, Jed. I didn't mean to. Listen, I got a copy of his book, and I was like, I'm glad I got a copy because it's taken Jed forever to read that thing. He was like, what? My bad. He said something about Barabbas. You take a man that in all rights is guilty. No doubt about it, he's 100% guilty. They're about to crucify this man. They got his cross built, nails forged. He's ready to die. In steps Jesus, who's not guilty, who's innocent, willing to step in and take that man's cross. He did the same thing for me. I was guilty of all sorts of things. And he stepped in and said, you know what, Scotty, I got this. I got that. I love you enough to die for you, for me. Of course he died for everybody, but he died for me. He died for me, and I can't. If I was in the room with him today, if I got another chance to see him face to face, I would kiss that man's feet because he changed everything. I was going to call Frank out. I can't find him. Frank, Jeremiah 29:11. I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you, not harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future. I thought this life would not be prosperous. If you'd asked me 2 years ago that this would have been me, you know, I'd have been like, absolutely not. That's more hurtful than anything. Man, I was wrong. He's going to prosper me in every single way. I have a future and I have hope. And it all started with meeting a man in a cell that to everybody else wasn't there. I'm glad he showed up. It changed my life. That's about it. If I talk anymore, I'm going to start crying. I didn't even fidget or nothing. I just sat there crying.
You know, when I think of Scotty's story, I think about two stories, actually. I think about Jonah and the well, where Jonah God told him to go to Nineveh, and he said, He got on a boat and he ran. And God sent a fish to swallow him up. Now, maybe Hope Center sent Scotty to get swallowed up for 2 years, but, he's got a mission. And then Scotty went on to say that he was wrestling with it. So I think about Jacob. And Jacob wrestling with God. And Jacob never had peace until he surrendered. So I got 2 questions for the crowd today. What are you wrestling with God? And what are you running from? Because you have a mission. The next speaker I have is also the servant of the month, JT.
Hello. Wanted to first say, appreciate the servant of the month. The first picture, Skylar, you're on my list. I didn't have a list until now, but you're on it. My name's JT. I graduated the Hope Center back in December. If I'm being real with you guys, I thought that day was actually going to be the end of my struggle. I thought once I made it through that year, everything would click into place and life would just be a lot easier. Spoiler alert, that's not how it went. Leaving Hope Center was actually one of the hardest transitions I've ever had to walk through. I still loved God when I left, but I also had to step back into a world full of choices, freedom, and temptation I hadn't faced in over a year. And I won't lie, there were days I really struggled bad. There were days the urges came back strong, days the cravings hit out of nowhere. Sometimes it was stress, sometimes it was loneliness, and sometimes it was just me being tired of fighting. And I had to learn something really quick. Graduation doesn't mean the battle is over. It just means you're fighting it in a different place. One of the hardest things I had to do after leaving was cut people off. Not necessarily in the center, but Matthew 18:18 says, if your hand or foot causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away. It is better for you to enter life maimed or crippled than to have 2 hands or 2 feet and be thrown into eternal fire. Some of these people meant a lot to me. Some of them I laughed with, struggled with, and did life with, but I had to be honest with myself. If I kept certain people close, I was going to end up right back where God pulled me out of. I'd be lying if I said I didn't miss hanging out with these people or like riding around doing something with them. Nobody really talks about how lonely obedience can feel. Nobody tells you that sometimes doing the right thing means disappointing people you care about. But I had to learn something I'll never forget. Not everyone is meant to go where God is taking you. And following Jesus isn't always comfortable. It usually costs something. Jesus had to take up your cross and follow him. And I've learned that's not just a simple verse I've heard people say. It's real life. After graduation, I ended up living with 2 other people from the Hope Center. Everything was pretty good at first. We were always hanging out, always going to eat. One of them chose to follow a female instead of trusting God and his path that he had for him. And he fell short to temptation. Another one, the same thing, and fell short to temptation. And I knew I had to leave. I had to get out of there because the urges, everything was getting really hard for me to handle. It wore me down, so I moved out. I can't fully explain it, but that decision changed everything for me. Something shifted after that. But what I didn't expect was how deep the loneliness would go. Even when I was around people, I felt alone. It was like I was disconnected from everything and everyone. I could be in a room full of people and still feel isolated. The scary part is I'm a really good actor, so I really have to know you to tell you how I'm really feeling. And I felt ashamed that I felt so lonely because, God is supposed to be, your best friend, your comforter, but the problem was I wasn't relying on him the way I should have. So, So I didn't understand why at first, but as I started sitting with God more, he began to show me something I had buried for a long time. I realized I had deep wounds of rejection from my childhood. My parents were also in addiction when I was growing up, and I didn't even realize how much that affected me. I grew up feeling unwanted, unseen, and like I didn't really belong anywhere. I thought I had moved past it. I thought I dealt with it, but I hadn't. I was still there. It was still there, just buried underneath everything else. But recently I experienced something during a church service, and I don't even have the words for it, but in that moment I was able to lay down the feelings of rejection and loneliness I had carried for so long. It wasn't just emotional, it was spiritual. It was like God went into places I didn't even know were still hurting and started healing them. And for the first time in a long time, I felt like I wasn't carrying that weight alone anymore. My relationship with God has gotten stronger. I started actually wanting to be in His Word again, and not just doing it because I felt obligated, but because I want to know everything I can about the Lord. My prayer life has become more real, and slowly the urges that used to feel so loud started getting quieter. Not gone completely, but no longer in control of me. And I started realizing something I wish I would have understood earlier. Sometimes we ask God to take the temptation away, but when He's been showing us the way out the whole time. Sometimes the miracle isn't God removing everything around you. Sometimes the miracle is just obedience. 1 Corinthians 10:13 says, God always provides a way of escape, and I've lived that out. For me, one of those escapes was changing my environment, trusting that God knew what He was doing. I've also learned that recovery isn't just about saying no to drugs. It's about saying yes to Jesus every single time. It's learning how to live again, how to sit with pain instead of running from it, how to call someone when I'm feeling lonely instead of isolating. Poor Elizabeth back there gets a phone call like 5 times a day because I'm just not a person that's meant to be without other people around. I've learned how to pray when my mind is racing, learned how to surrender when I want control, and honestly, I've been amazed at how faithful God has been through it all. There have been moments I didn't think I could keep going, moments I questioned everything, was just tired of fighting, but every single time God showed up. Not because I was strong, but because He's strong. Philippians 1:6 says, He who started a good work in you will carry it out to completion, and I can honestly say I've seen that in my life. God didn't stop working in me when I graduated. If anything, He's been doing some of His deepest work in me since I left. Today I can say I'm closer to God than I've ever been, not because life is perfect, not because I don't struggle, but because I finally know where to run when I do struggle.
Come on now.
Instead of running to old habits, I run to Jesus. Instead of isolating, I pray. Instead of believing lies, I remind myself of what God says about me. And if I'm honest, I've learned that healing doesn't always look like everything's getting easier. Sometimes it looks like God uncovering things you didn't even know you were still hurting, that was still hurting you, and then healing them in His presence. If God can keep me sober, He'll heal me from deep rejection, pull me out of unhealthy environments, and give me a peace I never thought I'd have, then I know He can do it for you too. I'm not standing here because I've got it all figured out, because I don't. Like, I try not to give people advice because I really don't know much about anything. I'm standing here because God has been faithful when I haven't been. The same God who carried me through Hope Center is the same God carrying me now, and He's not done yet. I do want to say thank you to Pastor Mark and Ashley for opening up I Am Worship and allowing Hope Center to be a part of it. I'm truly grateful for everyone at this church. You guys are my family and people I rely on to keep me accountable. Today I'm highly blessed and highly favored. All glory to God.
So JT talked about letting those old friends go. See, we're in a battle. We're in a battle for our life. This is a life or death situation, and you can't surrender and still hang out with the enemy. It's just impossible. It's always, you got to think, if you're in a battle, it's going to be hard to leave these guys that you've been fighting with to the death against these other people. But when you eventually realize that it's time to just, like, I gotta think about me. I gotta think about my life. You gotta let those old friends go, those old places go, those old things go. And that's exactly what JT did. And let's commend him one more time for that. The next guy I have up, he probably has like the biggest heart of anyone I've ever met, and he's more entertaining than cable TV. I promise you that. Connor, where are you at? Connor.
See how that works? You know what I mean? Wonder how the Holy Spirit moves, huh? Through everybody else, right? When I got here, it just was nothing I expected. You know what I mean? There's a guy that was sitting back there in the back row, just not knowing what was going to happen, but ready for anything. I was fortunate when I was locked up, when I was in jail. I did 3 years before I got here to the Hope Center. 2 years into it, I started signing up for different programs, different things. I gave my life to God, and things started changing before I got here. You know what I mean? I was locked up, and I had a job downstairs, so I like ride the elevator with these guys, and I'd be laughing and cutting up with them. They're like, "What's wrong with you, man? Ain't nothing wrong with me, man. There's a lot wrong with you, because I got joy in me today, and it was like I wasn't even locked up anymore. I got up every day, and it was like I knew something was going to change, something was going to happen, and so I applied for the Hope Center. And I got parole, but the funny thing about it was like, yeah, you got parole. And I thought, okay, cool, I'm gone, man. You know what I mean? So I signed up. Hope Center's like, come on, I walk out the door 6 months later. You know what I mean? I was like, because they forgot to tell me, well, after you finish your 30%. All right. So I'm just sitting there waiting. I finally get there. And here's the thing, though, is like you don't necessarily make deals with God. You just don't. That's just something you don't do. You know what I mean? But I did. Before I walked out the door, I was like, all right, Lord, I'm going to make this deal with you. And you're going to be on the better half of it, because for this next year, I'm going to focus on you, man. Whatever you want from me, that's what I'm going to do. You gave me this opportunity, and I'm going to take it. I'm going to take this opportunity, and I'm going to run with it. So when I got there, it's like everything that, they're like, it's voluntary, you can come here, you can do this, or you can stay at the house. I'm like, I'm going, man. I'm going to go do this, Every morning, I'm doing my soaps, doing everything before I even do anything, and it changed me, man. And that's what it did, Hope Center, when I was there. But here's the thing, what Hope Center did for me, it helped me remove the boulders in my life. I came up here and I snotted and I cried, and all these big boulders got moved out of my life. But here's the thing is, everybody wants to know, well, what happens after? We tend to forget about the pebbles laying around. You know what I mean? Because all them boulders were gone. I'd done that. I don't know how many times I've done that in my life. Big boulders got moved, and I thought, I'm good. You know what I mean? God's got me. I'm all right. You know what I mean? And then all of a sudden, a pebble, I was down on the ground, grabbed my knee. I don't think I can do this, So when I got out, because it's like I was saying this morning, I was like, God will make a path, right? But He'll make a path. I don't make the path. You don't make the path through me. God makes the path. And in order for Him to make the path, what do I got to do? Get out of the way, man. And here's the thing is if you ever, like I work in construction and stuff like that, I work in Mark Honeycutt, don't tell anybody. But a bulldozer, right, is plowing the path. A bush hog cutting the path. If I get in front of that, well, I'm in the weeds in the woods. You know what I mean? I'm lost. So I have to stand behind that, because He's the bulldozer. He's the path. You know what I mean? And what He did for me when I got out was another thing that because I loved my whole year here. I loved it, because I left with so many things resonating inside of me and reminded me and saying things to me, because things spoke to me. And one thing that kept on speaking to me was live in truth, man. Live in truth, you know. Jesus said, do you know the truth when you hear it? So when I get out, I'm listening, you know. He's saying things I don't want to hear, but hey, I'm listening, you know. And he's like, he's got these pebbles in his hand. He's rocking them around, you know. He's like, what about this old Facebook, TikTok, you know, little Snapchat? You need that? You want that in your life? Truth. No, man. I'm from this area. You know what's going to happen when I get Facebook, Snapchat, and all that stuff? My little face is going to drop down, and all them people are going to be like, hey, Bubba, where you at? Hey, what are you doing? Look what we're doing. You don't want to hang? You don't want to come by? I just don't need that temptation in my life, so it's not there. I don't have Snapchat. I don't have Facebook. I don't have TikTok. If you want to get a hold of me, you're in my phone. And I have everybody I need in my phone. That's it. You know what I mean? I don't have none of that other junk. But that's me following the path. And here's the thing is like one thing I also realize is when you read that Bible, I used to think that you got to the Revelations, the end. You know what I mean? No, it ain't wrote yet. It ain't finished yet. You're still part of the Bible. You're part of the Bible right now. You know what I mean? What you do right now is a part of that. You're a chapter. You're a chapter in there. That's why you're in the book of life. What is the book of life? It's that Bible because it gives you life. You understand? And if your name's written in it, you're there. So, you know, so I just keep tromping forward. And here's the thing is like, I'm always about growth. I was about growth when I was there. You know what I mean? When I stopped growing, I didn't like that. Man, I'd stand around, no, this ain't for me, man. We got to be growing. We got to move forward. And it was Nick, one of the counselors, that came up to me and said, hey, man, be still. You know what I mean? Maybe he wants you to be still in this moment. All right. I still didn't like it, you know what I mean? But, and I've never stopped growing. It's like, because of the pebbles that he grabs in my life and tells me I don't need, and he throws those out, and I allow him to throw those out, and I allow him to get in front of me, he keeps putting things in my path that keep me growing. I'm about to get done with these classes that Paroles gave me. God bless Parole. God bless those people. They're helping you. I don't care what you feel about them. They're there to help you. If you call them, they will help you. If you're doing right, they will help you. If you're doing wrong, they will put your butt back in jail. And that's just the factuality. You know, they've done nothing but help me. And so they said, we want you to do these classes. And I thought, okay, a few classes, no big deal. 2,000 questions later, I'm almost at the end, but I took it seriously. You know what I mean? I took my time in it. I thought about the questions, and they have really helped me because everything that they talked about, it's crazy because they never even mentioned Christ, but it's all biblical. Everything that, because one of the first classes I took, I thought, because they said, don't live in untruth. I was like, I'm with you. All right, we can do this. All right, let's keep going, you know. And they were like, you know, they also said happiness comes from acknowledging those people in your life that have helped you come and succeed over things, and to let them know that they did that, to honor that person. Honored Jed the other day. I was reading back through my soaps. Yes, I read back through the soaps I wrote a whole year, guys. I keep it on my nightstand. I use it as a devotion. I get up and I see where I was at. When I was reading it, I look up at the corner of the page and it says jail. Now, some of you know, I was out mowing lawns with Bill Davis while in the Hope Center. Sorry. Shout out Bill Davis. Yeah. But I was mowing lawns with him. We get pulled over. They're like, you got a warrant. I was like, what? Y'all supposed to take care of this before I ever got out. But I went to jail. And what happened was like, I'm getting there. And the guys booking me in. They're like, oh, you from the Hope Center? Yeah, man. Yeah, this sucks. You know. But I'm all right. You know, I'm just sitting there because I know there's something that's different inside of me now. I know. You know what I mean? I know the truth has set me free. And will. And is. And I'm sitting there, and the guy pulls me out, and he goes, hey, man, I don't know. Hope Center ain't called or anything. I said, look, buddy, they're coming. All right, man, they'll be here. So they put me back in the cell, whatever, you know what I'm saying? court the next day. Never once did I have to make a phone call to Jed, because I believed in him, man. I believed in his belief in me, you know. And I'm gonna tell you how. A lot of you guys know. A lot of you guys know it's been locked up and everything. How many times you walk in a courtroom and it's just you standing there in front of the jail? Ain't nobody standing behind you no more. Ain't nobody there with bail money. Ain't nobody cares that you're gone, you know. I walk out there, man, there's a whole row of people out there for me. They're over there like, hey, man, who we got right here, man? And you know, and the people in the courtroom are going, who's talking to me? But man, I walk back in there like, yeah, that's right. You know what I mean? Leaving, you know, and but I left, you know what I mean? I left. But while they're booking me out, the same guy who booked me in goes, man, I don't know if Hope Center's out there. Bubba, they're out there. You know what I mean? How many times I got to tell you this? You know what I mean? And sure enough, went out there. Jed's sitting there waiting on me. Been waiting forever. Sat out there the whole time, just waiting on me. And I messaged him, and I got teary-eyed, and I said, man, thank you. And really, man, thank you, man, for believing in me, for being in the position you are in, for fulfilling your destiny that God has given you. Thank you. You know what I mean? Because without you, there is no me. You know what I mean? And I love you, man. I love you. You'll never know. You'll never know how much I love you. I love you all my heart. Yeah. Well, I mean, acquaintance. But he needed a ride. You know what I mean? What I was going to say? Walk. You know what I mean? The Lord says walk. You got to learn your lesson, buddy. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, yeah, he gave my buddy a ride. Ex-buddy, but anyway. But and one thing I really want to do that I didn't get to do this morning in service is I want to honor some people, man. I really want to honor some people in this room. There's a guy in here. I never really knew what a friend really was. I never knew what the requirements it was to be a best friend. And it ain't always going with the flow, man. It's making you mad. It's making you mad. It's making you accountable, and But I know for one factuality, without a doubt in my mind, I don't even have to question it, just like I didn't have to question if Jed was out there. If I called this man at 2 o'clock in the morning and I told him I had a problem, before I could even tell him what it was, he'd have his boots on and be in the truck driving down the road to wherever I was at. And he truly is. I don't have a family anymore. My whole family's dead. They're gone. But I've been adopted into a lot. And this guy is, he's my brother, and I just want to thank him for, man, just being him. You know what I mean? And being what God has meant him to be. Mike Hardy, can I shake your hand, brother? I love you, man. That's my other dude. That's my other dude right here. I'll see you in the parking lot, buddy. It's a joke. It's an ongoing joke with us. We do that all the time. Stupid. Anyway. But there's another man I want to honor is he never changes his standard. His standard is the same every day. He doesn't balk for anybody. He's truly a man of God. And man, I admire him. And I love him. I love him. I love his family. And he's such a joy to be around. You just have no idea unless you get to know him very personally. Such a great man. Mark Honeycutt, I love you, man. And I'll tell you, if you came out where we were eating dinner or something, you would never guess that I worked with him or that he's my boss. You would think these guys are idiots. You know what I mean? We do not look. We don't pull punches on each other. So that's really cool, you know. And I'm blessed though. You see how blessed I am? How from just walking, and it's nothing that I'm doing. It's directional. You know what I mean? It's GPS. It's like turn here, go here. All right, over here, Lord. And then some stuff I don't want to do. I do it anyway. You know, those are the hard ones. I don't know how many times I heard sermons and I was sitting there and they were preaching. They were like, you need to change. You need to do this and you need to do that. And I was like, yeah. You got to get up and walk. I almost thought you were talking about me there for a second. Got to be somebody else in here. You know what I mean? It's definitely you. If it was something that you were praying or you were talking about, and it just happened to come up, and some of it gonna hurt, but it was definitely you. You know what I mean? The sermon was meant for it. It was definitely you. But man, what a joy in life. There's one last person I need to honor, and I'm going to honor them right now. This person sees me as something that I can't see myself. And I want to be that person every day. Someone who encourages me, who loves me unconditionally. I can't bring up something that I dream I've never done because there'll be tickets. And we'll go. I wore a kilt, if anyone. You'll never see those pictures. You'll never see them pictures. But my fiance, Joanne, I don't deserve her. She's a gift from God. But one thing's for sure, and she knows it, and I know that's about her, is I don't put her above God. I do not put her above Jesus. I love Jesus. He is number one. Because I wouldn't have her without him. You understand that? She is a gift from him. So I have to give him glory and thank him and give him all the love because I got it from him. You understand? And I have a joyful life. I really do. And I brought this up, and I'll quit because I know you guys are hungry. But I say, I work for Mark Honeycutt, so you might be here a little while. Well, there's an ongoing joke. I was riding with him one day, and he was looking at his watch, and I was like, "Got to be somewhere, buddy." And he goes, "No, I'm getting messages." He got one of my iPhones. I'm getting messages on my watch. And I said, you just remember that when you're preaching. They ain't looking at their watch. They're getting messages, buddy. But we do stuff like that to each other. But there was a few things I said this morning that I really wanted to get across. Is the worst thing about Hope Center, and I'm talking to the guys right here, man. The worst thing that happened to me at the Hope Center was getting to know each and every one of you, because I ended up loving each and every one of you. And I've watched some of my brothers fail, go to jail. I mean, you know what I mean? And here's the thing is, though, I'll tell you this is the God in me, is I'm on every one of them's box that's in jail. I put money on their books so they could get soap and everything else, and I communicate with them. Because you know why? Because I want them to see that it ain't that drug dealer that's on their box. It ain't that dude that got high with them that's on their box. It's that dude that got by with them. They got up in here and done something with them that's on their box, that's encouraging them to change, to become something else, to do something else. And I'm proud to say one of them got into the Teen Challenge, and I hope it works for him. But you know, I always want to be encouraging, man. I always want to do what God wants me to do, not what Matt wants to do. It's just because I owe him. You owe him. You better believe you owe him. Dirty rags is what you are. You know what I mean? I'm a dirty rag. I am. But I'm that one that got rinsed out in the sink that's got a little dirt in it. You know what I mean? Which one would you rather be wiped with? The one that I just used and threw on the ground? Or the one that at least got rinsed out, you know what I mean? That's where I'm at, you know what I mean? Yeah, so it might be a dirty rag, but I ain't that dirty, you know what I mean? Yeah. And I don't believe that I'm better than anybody, but I believe that you are. I believe you're better than that. I believe I'm better than that, and you are too, because we were made to be. You know what I mean? God don't make junk, but I can. You know what I mean? And I don't know, man. I could go on forever, really. You know what? Let's just stay a couple more hours. How about that? You know what I mean? Y'all ain't hungry. You ain't hungry, are you? Somebody order some food. I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding, man. I knew what it was like being in the Hope Center back here, stomach growling, talking about I'm gonna get the house, want to get my shoes off, get in the shower, whatever. You know? But look at your investment, man. $700 to save a life, man. Pennies, dude. You know what I mean? Thank you. That's all I can say, man. Is thank you for being here when I needed you to be here, and doing what this past sermon you were talking about is just walking, man. Stepping in that water, stepping into your position, because that's what He wants, man. Can't save a life sitting at the house. You know what I mean? I love y'all. Thank you. Love
you. It's hard to get up and go behind him, as it would be for anybody, right? I want to honor Miss Ashley and Pastor Mark this morning. If not for their yes, this would not be possible. Not for any of us. Pastor Mark said that there's been 70 graduates since Hope Center opened in Rickman 4 years ago, and that's 70 lives that got changed. I don't know the stats on how many came through our center, but it's a whole lot more than 70, and that's lives that even if they didn't graduate, that they got touched. Their seeds have been planted, and it's because of y'all's obedience and y'all's yes that we were able to do this and that we can get involved. So we thank you, we honor you. Y'all give it up for them one more time. I promise not to take up too much of your time. It is a Honeycut Sunday. I was hoping that Mark Honeycutt would be serving in children's ministry. I love your kids, but I'm back there every time Mark Honeycutt preaches, and it's a long day. I do love your kids, but it is long. I don't know about y'all, but I love hearing these guys get up and share what God's doing in their life. Don't y'all? I love nothing more than to hear just how good God is. I might walk around, so I need to move this. I love hearing just how good God is, and miracles and things that are happening, and you hear it all the time, and there's things that's going on in our community, in our church. Don't you love that? What if you just didn't have to just hear it, but you got to experience it for yourself? How about that? That'd be a game changer, right? If you didn't just come to church and hear 5 or 6 guys that graduated Hope Center share about what God did in their life, but you got to experience that for yourself. It's not Hope Center that does it. You say, Josh, I don't have a drug problem. I haven't been through a program. That's okay. I don't have a drug problem either. I have a sin problem. Drugs are my sin of choice. We all have a sin problem. The Bible says that we were all born sinners. Hope Center did, however, I don't want to take away from Hope Center. Hope Center, House of David, Teen Challenge, they're all good programs. Here's what Hope Center did do for me. It provided me things that I wasn't willing to give to myself. It put a roof over my head. I would just assume house serve or couch serve. It put food on a table. I didn't eat for weeks. It gave me structure. It gave me a schedule. It gave me accountability. It gave me a home church. It put people in my life. But God, Hope Center did for me what I wasn't willing to do for myself, but God did for me what I couldn't do for myself. That's the difference. It takes more than just a program, though. You see, all these guys, yes, they went through Hope Center. Yes, it's Hope Sunday, and they talked about what Hope Center did and things that the Hope Center provided, but it takes more than just a program. If a program's all it took, I wouldn't have missed 3 phone calls from 2 different graduates this week from Overton County Jail trying to get back in a program. If a certificate on the first Wednesday of every month is all it took, we wouldn't have people leaving our program and going into another one. If that's all it took, another center wouldn't be burying their intern this week. I mean, it's hard, but that's real. But if that's all it took was a certificate. It takes so much more than that. 4 years ago, this is cool so this Hope Sunday was supposed to be at the beginning of the month, but it's cool that it's today because 4 years ago this week, I was sitting in jail in Overton County. I'm on the phone with my mom, and she says, I've got you into a program. You're going to go to Hope Center. It's in Rickman. That's a good day. I mean, that's a real good day. You're sitting in jail. You get a phone call. Hey, I'll be there later to pick you up. I was happy, right? That's all I was happy. My mindset started to change. I got out of jail that weekend. I got to spend the weekend with my grandma, which had passed away right after I got to Hope Center. That's the reason I got out, was to spend some time with her before she passed. And I made that lady a promise. She said, Josh, she said, promise me knowing she's on hospice, this would be the last time I would ever see her alive. She said, Josh, promise me that you'll walk away from this life. I made her a promise that I didn't know if I could keep. I had no idea. Can I tell you that sitting there and watching and talking to my grandmother for the last time didn't change me inside? Scott talked about his inside voice, and I love the way he talks about that, and he mentions inside voice, because if your inside voice doesn't change, the outside change is only temporary. So I sit with my grandma for the weekend. Heather Stevens was my admissions coordinator. She invited us to come to I Am Worship Church. She said, come to the church that Josh is going to be at for the next 12 months. She said, and just check it out. I sat right back here. And about 3/4 of the way back, I sat behind David and Melody Lancaster. I'll never forget it. I don't remember what the sermon was over, but the preaching was good. I grew up in church, so I was like, okay, this goes along with what I've learned. I was looking for something wrong, looking for a way out. The preaching was good. The worship was amazing. I thought, you know what? I think I can do this. My mind started saying, yeah, this is possible. This is better than jail. That day after church, we go to the Hope Center. Heather had invited us to come check out the campus. We pull up on Tommy Dotson Highway, and we're going down the curvy driveway, and there's picnic tables, and there's guys that are sitting at their picnic tables, and some of them are sitting with, I imagine, counselors, and some are with family members. So some of them have bookwork out. They're reading their Bible. They're doing their homework or whatever. And I thought, man, this is like summer camp. I think I even said this reminds me of summer camp. I was like, I'm 30 years old going to summer camp. I can do this for a year. You see, things started changing in my mind. I have court on, I believe it was September 5th or September 6th. So I have court a month after I get to Hope Center. I get to the courtroom. My attorney says, Josh, the DA wants you to serve 24 years in prison, and I'm a 3-time meth offender. That means 85%, whatever the math is. That's a long time. And you've got over $200,000 in fines. As you can imagine, my stomach's in knots. My heart sinks. My mom's sitting there. She's crying in the courtroom. Jed and Heather took me. I rode with them to court because I was already in the program, but I hadn't had my furlough yet. And we're in there, and there's people praying, and my attorney's like, let me see what I can do. Let's just pray about it. My mom's crying, and I'm like, I don't know what's happening. I'm here at this center. I don't know what's going on. And the judge allowed me, he granted 1 year in Hope Center Ministries and 3 years on misdemeanor paper. I'm not a felon. And I'm a 3-time meth offender. He gave me 3 years misdemeanor probation and 1 year in the Hope Center. That's a God moment. Only God can do that. Yeah, give it up. That's not something that happens every day, right? So God was in that. Can I tell you that my circumstances changed, but my heart didn't change? You see, the Israelites left Egypt in one night. That's all it took. It took one night to leave Egypt, Pastor Mark. But it took 40 years to get Egypt out of them. That's where I was. My environment changed. My circumstances changed. My mindset had changed. But my heart was still the same. See, I had the same negative attitude. I had the same, I was hateful. I had the same poor, pitiful me. Everything inside me was the same, just like Scott talked about. It was all the same. But outside, it was all different. And I remember I got in trouble. Yes, believe it or not, I did get in some trouble at the Hope Center. It just took one time, though. I get in trouble because my attitude was bad, and I had a filthy mouth, and I cussed out a leader. It's Jonathan Chester, if y'all know who he is. He deserved it. No, I'm just kidding. I got into it with him over an alarm clock, and I made a fool out of myself, right? And I'm laying in my bed that night, and I will never forget that. If I could, because I'll forget, could I have the worship team to come up? Because I want to have a response today. I'm laying in my bed, and it's probably 11:30, 12 o'clock at night, and I'm laying there, and I can just feel the Lord dealing with me. And I'm like, Remember, this is a few months into my program, and I'm like, God, I've done all these things. I show up to Bible study. I show up. I do my morning soaps. I do DR, where I meet in small groups at the end of the night. I go to Celebrate Recovery. I sit back here with the rest of the guys, and I sing my songs when the worship team plays. I'm involved. I go to the altar when one of my brothers needs prayer. I'm doing all this stuff. Why is nothing changing? He said, because you're doing it on your own. You're not allowing me to help you. You see, surrender is the topic for today. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It's simply giving over control. It's not doing it yourself, because when I drive us into the ditch, right? But when God drives, he takes us to places that we can't even imagine. So I'm laying there and I'm having this conversation. I'm like, okay, you know what? I'll let you do it. That night, I surrendered my heart and my life to Jesus Christ. I can't tell you that the angel of the Lord appeared to me and there was horns and sirens and songs. I went to sleep, and I slept like a baby. The next morning I get up and I noticed that I started my day with the Lord. I remember it like it was yesterday. I prayed, God, we made a deal last night. You said that you would help me because I can't do it on my own. You said that you would help me out, that you wouldn't just go in front of me, but you would walk beside me during everything. God doesn't take away the temptation. He gives you a way out of them temptations. And from that point on, things started to fall in place. I started noticing that whenever I would get upset over something, I would bite my tongue and I wouldn't lash out. I would notice that I was happy even in the worst of circumstances. For any of y'all that know, my personal life right now is not the greatest, but you know what? I find joy in knowing that God has got me no matter what. I started seeing in my life the fruit of the Spirit over in Galatians. I talked about the Israelites. And maybe that's you this morning. Maybe God's rescued you from somewhere or from something, but you're still holding on inside to that. You haven't let go of that inside. If you read over in the book of Luke about the prodigal son, it's such a good story. There's so much in that. But one thing I want to point out is in verse 17, the Bible says that everybody knows the story of the prodigal son, right? He goes, he spends all the money. A famine came. He hires himself out. He was working with the swine, with the pigs. The Bible says that in verse 17, he came to his senses. The Bible doesn't say that because he was in the pig pen, he wanted something different. He says his life changed because he was in the pig pen. The Bible says that he came to his senses and he ran home. He went home to the Father, and the Father was waiting on him and ran to him with open arms, right? Maybe that's you this morning. Maybe you realize this week that you're in the pig pen. Maybe it's time to come to your senses. Maybe it's time to let go of whatever Egypt has left in you. Whatever it might be. Jed gave a message. I wasn't here, but I heard a lot of people talk about Jed's message on Wednesday night about the lady or the woman with the issue of blood and how she didn't care who was around her in the crowd, how the crowd was full, and she didn't care. She went and she made it to Jesus. If anything that you've heard this morning, whether it be anything I've said, Scott said, or any of these guys have said, or if maybe you've got something that wasn't even mentioned this morning, if you have a need this morning, now's the time. I'd like to ask everybody if they would stand, and the worship team's going to play. No matter what that need is this morning, we want to invite you to come.
I'm removing all of the things that would move me.